Hello all, I'm Scarp SCS, but that's not important right now, as in this episode of Cogs, Gears and Optic Sensors, we are looking through Transformers number 12 from the September of 1985, still written by Bob Budiansky and with art by the legendary Herb Trimpe, who follows on from his work in the previous issue. Picking up with Jetfire and our human protagonists where we left them last time, as we see Buster at the controls of Jetfire and some cheeky exposition panels that hark all the way back to events in issue number 6, as it's revealed to the reader that Buster and Bumblebee have hatched a plan to lull Shockwave into a false sense of security by making him think that Jetfire has succeeded in his mission of retrieving the creation matrix infused Buster. And as we find out that Buster used his aforementioned abilities to rebuild Jetfire after he shut him down in the last few pages of issue 11, he is intercepted by US Air Force jets who have been trying to hail him as he makes his way through their airspace, only to find that Jetfire's residual programming from Shockwave spurs Jetfire into evasive maneuvers, making short work of the pilots and their aircraft. But unfortunately for Buster, who is most definitely not a professional Top Gun pilot, he succumbs to the G-forces and Jetfire continues his pre-programmed journey onto the Blackrock facility. Where inside, we find that Shockwave is still berating Rumble for letting Buster into the Ark in the first place, as he nervously leaks lubricants, awaiting to see his fate. Shockwave, however, as efficient as he is ruthless, decrees that Rumble will guard the current staff as held captive and will be crushed by Shockwave personally if he fails again. But, as earlier in the issue, Buster planned to dupe Shockwave, the current Decepticon commander has been made aware of the bug listening into everything going on at the plant and plans his own bait and switch with the Autobots.
Today's episode, Bait and Switch.
And as the Autobots listen in, they hear what they believe to be Shockwave's plan to drop the head of Optimus Prime into a swamp where it will corrode until he is no more. But as the Autobots plot out a route to where they think they will find the missing part of their commander so that they can reunite him with his torso, the still mindless Jetfire delivers Buster to the aerospace facility, and Shockwave believes his plan is going as he predicted, not realizing, of course, that we, the readers, know that Buster has been tampering away in the background. Now, Optimus Prime can only look on helplessly, and let's be honest, at this stage he's just ahead, so all he can literally do is look on, as Jetfire hands Buster to Shockwave, who monologues his plan. Now, I always thought the fact that they were in an aerospace facility, and with Shockwave mentioning jets in this little piece of dialogue here, was Budiansky prepping to bring the Coneheads in, especially with their body types being seen in the last issue, but sadly it wasn't to be just yet. Potentially plans that fell aside, but I guess we'll just never know. Meanwhile, though, the Autobots, fresh off their orienteering exercise, have arrived at the swamp they were mapped to. They see Jetfire hurtling towards them, who delivers the head of Optimus Prime with all the finesse of a gig economy courier. But with what the Autobots believe to be Optimus Prime sinking fast, Prowl gives them a quick lesson in Earth's topography, and the Autobots form a chain, and well in advance of the 1987 toy line, get Optimus Prime to reunite his head with his body. But as Prowl tries to greet what he believes to be the newly restored Autobot commander, he is opened fire upon, and before anyone has a chance to react, a further 3 of his teammates are felled. The golden rule, Prowl, is that if something is too good to be true, then it usually is. And as Cliffjumper looks up in horror, he sees Soundwave and his cassette minions standing over him. At the aerospace plant, though, things aren't going too well for Buster either, who regains consciousness following his G-force induced blackout, only to have to listen to Shockwave do his Bond villain piece, as Optimus continues to blame himself. So as Jetfire arrives to enact the final piece of the puzzle, which would be the actual disposal of the real disconnected head of Optimus Prime. But Buster, still able to project the Matrix psychically, manages Command Jetfire to knock Shockwave flying through a wall into the factory floor space with absolutely no risk assessment as to whether it was load-bearing or if he'd have squashed any of the hostages in the process. Rumble now, lost without direction from his commander, allows the remaining factory captives to escape, and Buster gives Jetfire a fresh set of instructions as per his original rescue plan. Which is just as well, as Prowl's team, caught off guard, are struggling against what can only be described as the Transtector of Optimus Prime alongside Soundwave's cassette team, with Prowl in a particular state of disrepair, and we've not even got to the 1986 movie shuttle scene yet. But with Shockwave no longer in the driving seat for Optimus Prime, the real McCoy is launched by Jetfire, and Optimus Prime is finally made whole again, springing into action and single-handedly dispatching Soundwave and his troops, who are unaware of Shockwave's incapacitation at the aerospace plant and are caught entirely unawares. Speaking of who, as he rouses, Shockwave realizes the variable he'd missed in his plan, and poor Rumble is far more worried about what will happen to him now that all the human factory workers have escaped, but Shockwave, ignoring him, creates his own exit to face down with Optimus Prime, knowing exactly where all the action is taking place. And as the two tussle, with Optimus emerging victorious, and eventually throwing Shockwave into the swamp, where his giant robot form begins to sink, as Optimus Prime realizes that he needs to race back to Blackrock's plant and rescue Buster before the Matrix is used for Decepticon purposes. But as the Autobots encourage Optimus Prime to commit cold-blooded murder by executing the sinking Shockwave where he, sinks, Buster is the only thing on the Autobot leader's mind as he runs off to rescue his human friend, and Shockwave disappears under the surface. But worry not, he'll be back in the next issue. So, as a worried Optimus Prime returns to the plant to find Buster absent, it transpires that the staffers at the facility had freed him whilst making their own escape, and a grateful Optimus Prime duly retrieves the creation matrix from Buster, with nobody having to awkwardly ask if they've got the right type of USB lead to hand. And we get a little tease for the return of Megatron, which closes the issue out nicely. So, there we have it, folks. A lightning quick retrospective run through of Transformers number 12 from Marvel Comics. Lots going on, and a little bit of a reset from the status quo with the return of Optimus Prime to the pages of the book. It would only be right to check out the covers too, so we can see that the US used this piece by interior artist Herb Trimp, as did the first issue of the UK printing with the same cover text, and then this second piece, which was an early Transformers piece of art by Jeff Anderson. So, do you think it was a brave move to bench Optimus for a whole 6 issues and let the other characters shine through? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching along, and if you like this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you didn't like it, then leave one anyway. If you want to come and say hi on social media, you can find me here. But whatever you do, folks, stay safe.